Welcome to the Field Engineer. Today we are speaking with Guy Eid. Guy has extensive experience leading biomedical field engineering teams. Welcome, Guy. Guy, I want to ask you a few questions about early on in your career. You were born in Lebanon and moved to Canada during a period of war in Lebanon. Can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced moving to a new country and any advice you would give to anyone thinking about making a similar change?
Sure. First, thank you, Charlie, for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation. You are right. As you said, I moved here during a time of war, but in a way that gave me the courage to leave because I had nothing to lose and nothing to look back at, except family ties for sure and, loved ones and people that I would leave behind. So it was rather quote unquote, easy for me to leave and look for a new life in a country that I have never been to. But I was fortunate, I should say. I had a good financial support from my brother that allowed me to sustain a decent living for the first few months and until I secured a job. Coming as an immigrant to a new country, you have the challenge of getting to know the country, integrate well, before you can even look for the job and the career that you wish for. So this is an important aspect to keep in mind for those considering relocating or immigrating, the financial aspect. On the other hand, I had to adjust to the weather conditions, to say the least. Especially as I arrived in the month of November, and the winter in Montreal and Canada in general is unlike any winters that I have experienced before. Also, you have the new culture, so a new communication style that you have to adapt to. Luckily, French was my second language and English is my third, so that made it easy for me. I also had the support of friends from Lebanon who immigrated here before me. So they guided me, they helped me a lot, and I'm always thankful for that. So it is important for people to keep that in mind. Ideally, know someone in the new country, or maybe have a field engineer buddy or friend from the group that we belong to. I think this is a wonderful community and it will be very helpful. At the end of the day, when our mind is set and we are open and ready to face any challenges, we are bound to succeed. So coming with the mentality that no matter what, I'm here to live and I'm here to succeed, I think is the best mindset that can be.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you very much. So when you were changing countries, what steps would you advise people to take to learn the local language and getting a better understanding of the local culture that you've mentioned?
Right. I mean, as much in advance as possible when you have chosen the country you want to move to. If you have friends in that country, communicate with them, get to know a bit about the country, the languages, the customs, the communication styles that people prefer here. It's a different society, even though Canada is a very diverse country. Still, Quebec is Quebec and Ontario is Ontario. Different provinces have different cultures. So it is important to have that communication well in advance. And in Canada, both English and French are official languages, except that in the province of Quebec, where I live in Montreal, French is the official language. And immigrants have only 6 months to learn it. And after that, they have to speak French, especially if they go to government institutions, they will only be served in French. So my recommendation is to learn the language in advance, practice it, and once immersed in the country, even my accent have changed after being here for more than 30 years. So be open to that. It's important to integrate and take the time to do that. So being in the country, it is helpful to have local people like friends or family, or at least a welcoming community like the field engineer community again, and to have an open mind, observe, learn, adjust, and immerse in the culture, go to events, go to activities, and ideally be with friends and in the job or on the job, maybe shadow people who can guide you through the process.
Excellent. So I just want to talk a little bit more about your transition in your career. You were a field engineer and you've ended up managing teams. What changes did you need to embrace from being a frontline field engineer to managing those teams? What are the skills? What are the changes that you needed to make?
Right. It is not an easy endeavor for sure, and you have been there too. Being an engineer is special by itself, a field engineer. We're going to probably talk about that later on. But moving to management is a process. Now, it's about also having the opportunity and the connection to be able to move up in your job, but also take confidence and preparedness. So I personally had to change employers to move to management. And it took me a few years to become the manager that I aspired to. I had the luxury of observing bad managers as well as good managers.
Sure.
We have all been there
Yeah.
and learned what is right, but also what is wrong.
Yeah.
So you learn what not to do and you learn what to do,
Yeah.
coupled with your own style, right? Taking the lead is definitely not about pushing your employees forward, but rather being at the forefront and leading them and showing them the way. The manager should be compassionate and understanding, but also being clear and always communicating the direction the team is taking. So anybody who's looking to advance in their career into management can keep that in mind and maybe even take courses and prepare themselves to have those qualities, which now we call maybe emotional intelligence or soft skills or leadership skills. As much as management and the tasks of managing are important, it's even more important having those soft skills to be able to lead a team. And ideally, someone who's looking to make that move would look for a coach or a mentor, like a seasoned manager or leader who can help them make that switch. Because as much as I thought I'm ready, once you're in it, it's a
It's a different
different ball,
experience, isn't it? Yeah.
right? And you learn as you go. I was not the manager years ago like the manager I am today. We evolve, and that's what is important. Open mind and looking to learn is important in any move we make.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on one of the points you made there is, we've had, I'm sure we've all had good managers, bad managers, or, those with traits that we think, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to repeat the seeming mistake that I thought those managers. I think those are some of the best lessons we learn when, as an employee, what not to do, or perhaps a different approach to things that we see in
Exactly.
our managers.
Exactly. And put yourself in it because your style matters too. As you learn, it's not like following script or following what you observed before. It's really using it the way you see fit in the world of management and being really compassionate. And having come from the field, what is the life of the field engineers. So typically you are compassionate with them, you understand their reality, and you're able to work with them.
Okay. Now, what would you consider are the most important things, important traits for managing field teams then?
For managing field teams, I would say, first of all, gaining the team's trust. And that would happen quickly because you have a short time to prove yourself as a leader, and then maintaining it and working closely with your team to make sure that you are providing them with the best working conditions, recognition, support, and helping them succeed as individuals, but also as a team, and making sure that the team is aligned with the vision and the mission of the organization, and that everyone has a clear direction about how we are doing business and how they collaborate with one another. And the manager certainly have to have their backs as they have one other's back too.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So what are the skills that you look for in field teams? What are the traits that mark out an excellent field engineer for you?
Well, we know well that the lifestyle of a field engineer is like no other. So the person to succeed in it would have to want that lifestyle, right? It's not for the faint of heart. You might wake up in one place and sleep in a different place. You might think your day is starting easy and then something happens and you're all over the place. It presents many aspects that the person will like, but it has its challenges, right? And the field engineer is looking for that. So it becomes a good challenge for the field engineer. As importantly, customer service skills are very important. Uh, it's dedication to solving the customer's problem. It is our raison d'être, right? It is our reason for being. That's why we are here. So it's our nature to want to be helpful and to work on problems and solve them. And that requires resourcefulness, promptness in responding and in communicating with the customers, and effectiveness in each and every time the field engineer responds to a customer request. And lastly, I would say being a good team player, the individual success is incomplete without the team's success. And they help and support one another. They provide insights to one another. They volunteer to help any time of the day, but also they stay humble and available. And that's an important aspect. And again, it's about maturity and emotional intelligence. And in our community, we have a lot of field engineers from Navy to medical devices to life sciences, but they all represent the same kind of aspects for the field engineering with different nuances. So I believe, and maybe I spoke more about the soft skills than the technical skills, because a good engineer is an engineer already and is a good learner. So to be trained on the specific equipment that the engineer will service is a no-brainer. We will learn, we will apply, and we become very proficient. It's really about how we are conducting business, and that's why I stress a lot on that.
Okay, excellent. There's a lot in there, so thank you very much for
Indeed.
that. Coming on to what your enjoyment of managing teams. What for you is the most enjoyable part of managing a team, and on the flip side, what is the most challenging? So give us your view on that.
Well, you see, the satisfaction of being a manager really is succeeding through the team. It's empowering them, enabling them to succeed, helping them and supporting them in situations where they need guidance, being there to have their backs in the case of technical escalations, and being present for them at any time. When my phone rings and it's a service engineer calling me, I could be in a meeting and I have to step out, or I would text him to say, "Hey, I'm going to call you back. I'm finishing my meeting in 5 minutes." And so the role of the manager really is being there for them and creating that environment for them to succeed and to work as a team. There are always frictions, between people. We're human beings, and we can even have frictions with our brothers and sisters. The same in a team, it's natural as long as we keep it professional with an open mind and being humble and helpful. The role of the manager is really like the Philharmonic Orchestra conductor, but at the same time, like the father who's making sure everybody is okay and everybody has what they need to perform their job to the utmost success.
Okay. Now I know that you do mentoring and have done mentoring throughout your career. One question I wanted to put to you is, as a mentor and a coach, what advice would you give to someone to be a good mentee?
That's a good question. You see, a person who's looking for mentorship is initially someone who wants it, someone who wants to learn. So it should be a given that the person comes in with an open mind and a growth mindset, right? We call it nowadays a growth mindset. And these are important terms, even though they become slogans, but they are very meaningful. Especially that there's always something to learn in each and every situation and from different people. It might be a colleague you will learn from. But as a mentor, it would be someone who has been there, done it, and succeeded, and moved even maybe further up the scale of the career, and is able to provide insights and direction. So each interaction with the mentor is important. Give it attention, but also don't hold back on any thoughts or ideas from fear of sounding odd or being rejected, right? There is no question, there is no comment that is necessarily dumb. Say it, speak your mind. That will allow your mentor to understand you better. And a good mentor is receptive and welcomes input, right? Or he will not, or she will not be a good mentor. So, and sometimes great mentors would not work for a specific person just because they don't match. So don't hesitate to, express that and look for another mentor.
Yeah. Excellent. Sound advice. Okay. Looking back on your career, is there anything that you would do differently? Do you have any regrets? Would you make any different choices looking back?
I would say yes, but not in the way that my career unfolded. It unfolded sometimes in a surprising way, but in my mind, nothing happens for nothing. There's no coincidence. It's because of the hard work that a person has done. But what I would regret is sometimes how I react or I handled complex situations, conflicts. Office politics are real and they are everywhere and not necessarily within the walls of an office, but we call them office politics. And it takes to be smart about it, not take things personally. And I'm not talking about gaming the system, but rather being authentic, true to our values, and face a situation in an intelligent way. Think before you speak and be aware of your surroundings, basically, and the people you're addressing. So I learned that, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any advice that you would give to any field engineers who are early in their career? Is there anything that you change different about your early career?
Well, I would say my advice to field engineers is make your decisions intentionally. Think through every aspect. Check with your coach, check with your mentor before you make an important move in your career, and conduct your business intelligently. That's important. Your successes will open doors. So it is important to find the matching coach or mentor as they guide them from their experience and insights. We can learn the hard way, right? But we can also learn the prepared way. So the role of the coach or the mentor is not to tell the field engineer what to do, but to have them think of the right questions and uncover some areas that they might not have thought of, right? So go into it with open eyes, consult with people you trust, especially if you have a coach or a mentor.
Excellent. Guy, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. I will say, if those out there like what you've seen in this interview and want to see more from the field engineer, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for all notifications. If you have any questions or comments, please share them in the comments below. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Charlie. It has been a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity, and I invite all field engineers to invite their friends over to this community. It's really a wonderful place to be.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Guy. Thanks.